Hello again, everyone. Edwin Learnard back once again in this YouTube astrological segment. I'm going to be talking about astrology and Elena Delle Donne. As many of you may know, she is a WNBA player. It's a women's professional basketball league, and she's been embroiled in an interesting situation, to say the least. She has attempted to opt out of the season due to the fact she has Lyme disease, and her doctor had stated that she would be at a greater risk for the coronavirus due to having this Lyme disease. And the WNBA, I guess it was their doctors, their board, they said that that was going to be a no-go, and they rejected her. I guess you could say her request through the doctor to not play this season, I believe, in the WNBA. And season starts on like July 25th, and apparently, I guess she's got her decision to make now as to whether she's going to play or not. First thing up, now I don't have her time of birth, of course, so I had to improvise once again, do a solar/sunrise chart in which I put the sun at the same spot as the ascendant, and she's a Sun in Virgo. She was born on September 5th, 1989 in Wilmington, in Delaware. So she has a Sun in Virgo, Moon in Scorpio, and the Sun in Virgo, of course, could be very health conscious. The basic one is to be healthy. That is what she is attempting to do. And the Moon in Scorpio can give an added obsession and perhaps fixation with this, and be more willful in wanting to be healthy. And she, the thing about this is that she is somebody. I mean, she obviously, being a Sun in Virgo, she just wants to do, what's right in terms of her health. I'm sure she worked very laboriously and hard, as has done so as a WNBA player, being having a Sun in Virgo. But I'm going to talk about some natal placements and some transits in her chart, which may be tied into this current situation that she is in. Now, the Lyme disease, Lyme disease can have a number of elements, and it could be like some kind of, I guess, it's like some kind of joint stiffness or pain, I believe, can be tied into as far as symptoms go, and fever and headache and rashes as well could be possibilities. General weakness. Right now, she has transit Neptune, making an opposition to her natal Mars in Virgo. And the thing about this is, this tells me, when you have a transit aspect like that, you might feel a little bit more lethargic, and feel more really not doing as much. I would say transit like that can give certain fatigue, and really in certain tiredness. I would say it's a little harder to take action and do things physically when you have a transit like that. And another thing I noticed too, the thing that's standing out to me, the transit that she's having right now, which might be tied into this. Now, I don't know if she's experiencing many or any symptoms connected with this Lyme disease, but she's at a little greater propensity and susceptibility to this, because, for one thing, she has transit Mars is actually, you're talking transit Mars in Aries is, yeah, you could say, even perhaps a loose in conjunct to her Sun in Virgo right now. And Mars in Aries, Mars by itself can be about like rashes and headaches and fever. And when you have an in conjunct in astrology, it can often be about something health related, health related issues. Now, another thing I noticed is that, on a little bit of a comical level, astrology, as I've stated in previous videos, can have, I believe I've stated in previous videos, can have a sense of humor. Now, she plays on the Mystics is the name of her the WNBA team. And it's interesting that she has Saturn conjunct Neptune in her natal chart, and Saturn can be about the career, and Neptune can be a planet is a planet associated with things that are mystical. So I thought that was very little astrology having a little bit of a sense of humor, I think. Now, based on her solar sunrise chart, she has a number of transits in the fifth house of sports, and including Saturn. And when you have transit Saturn in the fifth house, especially if you're involved actively in sports, sometimes it can indicate some limitations and some restrictions in something sports related. She also has transit Pluto in the fifth house, and Saturn is more about restrictions, but when you're talking about Pluto, sometimes Pluto can flat out obliterate and destroy. And this season, for me, it's telling me that she's probably going to opt out, likely on her own, as far as playing this season. Now, I may be wrong, but that's what it looks like to me based on the transit. And she also has transit Jupiter in Capricorn in the fifth house as well. And as I've talked about in previous videos, Jupiter can be strongly benign and benevolent, but it could also have a tendency to enlarge and expand. This could be enlarging limitations in something sports related, and her fun, her amusement, and enjoyment at this time. Now, one thing I noticed too is that when you're talking about a situation like this, I've talked about this in previous videos, that okay, if you have a T-square configuration in your chart, and when you have a transit that makes an opposition to the focal point of that T-square configuration, often it can signify significant events in one's life. Now, in this case, she has a T-square, a cardinal T-square configuration, which involves, it's got Jupiter in Cancer, making an opposition to her Capricorn stellium, which is Uranus, Saturn, and Neptune in Capricorn, and that energy is squared by Mercury in Libra. Now, the thing about this is she's currently having transit Chiron and Mars, at the very least, making loose opposition to that Mercury in ambivalent Libra. And the Mars, of course, could be about physical related issues, and Chiron in Aries, this can sometimes be about issues associated, that can be, you're talking about just, Chiron by itself is not just about emotional wounds and suffering. It can be about physical issues as well. So, and you have the focal point of her cardinal T-square configuration in Mercury in Libra. So it's telling me she's probably really very ambivalent regarding this decision. Jupiter in Cancer is also involved in this, and Jupiter, of course, could be associated with sports. The fact that it's in the zodiac sign Cancer tells me it's something that she really feels at home with at this time. And another thing is that, if I'm not mistaken, this also can cause, in some cases, it might be minimal, but the probability might be somewhat low, but memory issues. And she has Mercury square her Neptune in her natal chart. So, there is a lot of elements in her chart that could indicate a greater propensity for the symptoms associated with this Lyme disease. And the fact that she's got that transit Neptune, of course, in Pisces. Neptune, of course, can be about diseases. Pisces can be about ones that can't be eradicated or cured, and right now it is making an opposition to her natal Mars in Virgo. So that right there, that could be an indicator of a health-related issue with the corona virus. She has Mars in Virgo, and this is something. And also too, she has, looking at another aspect in her chart, she's got Jupiter at the very least, I mean, Jupiter is makes a conjunction to her natal Chiron. When you're talking about Jupiter, again, it can be about enlargement and exacerbation in some cases, and she has Jupiter making a conjunction to her natal Chiron, which of course could exacerbate not just emotional ones but physical ones as well. The fact that it's in the zodiac sign Cancer, and might be some issues with the chest or the stomach area, but that is something I don't know if she has that or not. But it would not surprise me if there may have been some issues with that. Now, another transit I notice is that she also has transit Mercury conjunct her natal Jupiter right now. So this is where there's decision-making process going on. It's an indicator for something that is sports related. She has Jupiter in the solar sunrise chart in her 10th house of career. Jupiter, of course, is in its she has it in the zodiac sign Cancer. It's in its exaltation, so it's in the very good placement, obviously. So, anyways, really not much more wanted to say as far as her natal chart and transits that might be tied into her current situation. But one thing I did notice that's interesting, though, I mean, having in the solar sunrise chart Aquarius on the 6th house cusp, of course, there's two rulers of Aquarius, Saturn and Uranus, and they're both conjunct each other. And I thought that's interesting. It tells that when I see something like that, it tells me again that could be an indicator where that health matters with health can be of really very large significance. I would say it can give I would say it could give a further emphasis, and where she's accentuating her as far as her health in her life. So because you have both those rulers that are conjunct each other, they're integrated. So it shows to me more of a concentration of energy as far as health related matters go. And anyway, well, whatever happens with her, hopefully it will turn out for the best and be beneficial to her. It's obviously going to be a big decision that's going to be coming up for her, and in which she'll be going through. And having, I mean, the thing that doesn't help, of course, again, is that she has the natal Mercury in Libra, which of course could be very indecisive and ambivalent. She's probably going to be weighing these pros and cons very immensely, very for a pretty good time before she ultimately makes a decision. So anyway, people, that'll conclude this YouTube astrological segment. Until next time, people, Edwin Learnard saying stay well.